Hi everyone, welcome to F1 News Channel. In this video we discuss Zhou's future in Formula One and his possible partnership with Ferrari. Can he take this chance to return to the active roster? What are the prospects for him in 2025? About all this and more, right now. So make yourself comfortable and let's get to the bottom of it. Zhou has been cited as the weakest part of the sport at the moment. But even so, he has no plans to move to other series and is likely to stay in F1 for the long term. What's more interesting is that Ferrari are offering him a position in which he may feel quite comfortable. If something changes in the rest of the grid, especially amongst the rookies who could face serious difficulties under pressure, could Zhou use this position at Ferrari to improve his position and claim an active place in Formula One? It's safe to say that Zhou's results in 2024 have been far from satisfactory. Not only has his team let him and Bottas down, but Zhou himself has consistently qualified in last place. His teammate Bottas, although not performing brilliantly, always has a significant advantage in both qualifying and the race. In 2024, Zhou has the biggest gap to his teammate in qualifying. Bottas was ahead of him 20 times against 1. But interestingly, Zhou has a competitive advantage over Bottas in other categories. For example, he has led more laps in the top 10 of the race, 36 compared to Bottas's 29. He also set the best lap of the race 12 times, while Bottas had 8 such occasions. Zhou's best result in 2024 is 11th place, while Bottas has failed to get higher than 13th place in 3 races. This might be the reason why Ferrari believes the initial spark that Zhou showed in 2022, when he replaced Giovinazzi and became one of the few rookies to score points on his debut, could be reignited and channeled into their team. When discussing his future, Zhou made it clear that he doesn't want to race in any other series, and Formula One remains his priority. While it may seem from the outside that no teams are interested in his services, that's not exactly the full picture for the young Chinese driver. When talking about his future, Zhou said, "At the moment I don't want to be in another series yet because I feel like I'm still in a period where, if I can stay in F1 or make a comeback, there will be chances to show what I've got." Oliver Burman served as a reserve driver for Ferrari. But now that he has joined Haas as a full-time driver, an opportunity has opened up for Zhou. All he has to do is make the most of this situation, and there are a few factors working in his favor. Aside from the Chinese sponsors backing him, there is another crucial point. Ferrari has seen a 4% drop in new car sales in China in 2023, and that figure has risen to an alarming 25% decline as electric vehicles have gained increasing demand in the region. What Ferrari doesn't want is to lose China as a key market, and if they can sign Zhou and assign him some marketing duties, in addition to the mandatory ones on and off the track, they could strengthen their position and regain the trust of Chinese consumers. The reports are all over the news, with some suggesting that it's just a matter of time before this move is officially announced, as everything is reportedly agreed upon between both sides. Of course, the path is difficult for any driver who loses their seat, regardless of whether it's due to the driver's performance or the car's overall performance. The next step is to secure a reserve driver role with one of the teams and prove that you still have the skills needed to help develop the car further. And who knows? Maybe an opportunity to complete a full F1 weekend could arise if one of the drivers becomes unavailable, confirming that you weren't brought into the sport without a reason. This mission will be especially challenging for Zhou, given the rough patch he's going through with Alfa Romeo. To say it's been miserable is an understatement. Being part of a team that has yet to score a single point in 2024, and being the only driver on the grid to be in that situation is hardly motivating. What we must recognize, however, is a connection that dates back to 2022. It was Vassar who signed Zhou as a driver for Alfa Romeo back then, meaning he knows and values what the Chinese driver brings to the table. Yes, Zhou also brings a significant amount of sponsorship, which should not be overlooked, as it was one of the major factors in his rise to Formula One. but the connection between Vassar and Zhou could be rekindled at Ferrari, albeit in a different role than what we've seen so far. It won't be the same as the current setup, but the door is open for a new opportunity. What's interesting is that this wouldn't be Zhou's first experience with Ferrari. He spent a few years with their driver academy between 2014 and 2018, before switching to Alpine's junior program, which ultimately led him to Formula One. There is a strategic opportunity for Ferrari here, beyond just securing a reserve driver. It's a chance to strengthen their position in the Chinese market, where they have seen a significant drop in sales that they would like to address as quickly as possible. For Zhou, the primary goal would be to contribute to the car's development through simulator work and offering in-depth feedback on how the car feels. His insights could help make the car more drivable for two of the best drivers on the grid, Leclerc and Hamilton. This is a role that someone like Bottas could take on at Mercedes, and it's something Mick Schumacher has done for the Silver Arrows in the past. However, if we judge by Mick's tenure, it wasn't a perfect fit, and the role didn't fully pan out for him. It's almost guaranteed that once the new silly season begins, these reserve drivers will be the favorites to land a seat. Even though Mick Schumacher had Toto Wolff vouching for his excellence at Mercedes, Ferrari is currently processing a lot of data. The most important thing, however, is that they are confident 2025 will be their year. Whether it sounds optimistic or not, Zhou's role could be significant if the team finds an upward trajectory that improves their lap times. Leclerc himself has expressed high hopes that Ferrari can fight for the championship in 2025. When talking about it, the Monaco driver said, "It's all about us, how well we're working as a team and the job we're doing to get the world championship. I feel like we're working well. However, it's a relative sport and it all depends on how well the others are doing too. And they are doing super well for now, so we've got a lot of hard work to do in the next few years. But I believe in the project. I have to believe in the project 100%. And I'm sure Ferrari is the next team to be world champions. We've just got to keep working." The momentum is on Ferrari's side, and if Zhou wants to stay relevant in the sport, this might be his only opportunity. His sponsors are likely to support the move, as it's the least they can do in this situation. If the Chinese driver doesn't want to race in other series, then the reserve driver role allows him to keep his mind sharp, maintain his skills at the highest level, and be ready for a surprise weekend where he can prove he's still worthy of an F1 seat, given the right circumstances. It's not like we're defending Zhou for his poor performance with Alfa Romeo in 2024. But the fact remains that he has been dead last in every qualifying session and hasn't scored a single point. This was partly due to the disastrous pit stops in the early races, which hurt the team's chances of developing the car and scoring points. It's a situation where the team built the worst car possible and placed their drivers in the worst circumstances, leading to both Zhou and Bottas being on the outs. This shows that when you have the wrong car and the wrong environment, even talented drivers can struggle. It's a situation of mixed feelings, and it's hard to know who should be blamed for what happened during that particular season. The most important thing for Ferrari now is to perform exceptionally well from 2025 onwards. If they have upgrades in the pipeline, which of course they would, because no team stands still in this sport, then Zhou would need to give 120% to ensure that the car's responsiveness is aligned with those upgrades. Whether this can pave the way for Zhou to return to the sport as a regular driver remains to be seen. But what is certain is that Ferrari are focused on getting back on the winning track. More often than not, we see teams praise their reserve drivers for the overtime they've done on the simulator to fix fundamental problems with the car, as was the case with Red Bull and their car in IM. Given all this, do you think Zhou would be a good fit for Ferrari as a reserve driver? And, more importantly, do you think this role could allow him to compete for a permanent driver's seat at one of the teams that have recently welcomed rookies, as Alfa Romeo did with Zhou in 2022? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching this video to the end. Don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. It's very important.